one up. Is that me? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Alright, so we're going to install a super storage. I'm just going to get this box open and then I'm going to do a record. And I'm actually going to post this recording now. So there's an install video. I'm trying not to show this guy's name. That would not be good. How the hell did he package this thing? What kind of fucking box is this? Oh, I'm stupid. Usually people send me boxes where it's just a normal, like, Amazon Prime box. This one, this one's special. Alright, come on. Say, thanks in advance for doing a great job. Sorry I didn't have the proper tools or knowledge to take the system apart. No problemo. We're gonna see if we can get this taken care of. He's got a 32 gig Samsung micro SD card, which may or may not work depending on the current issues. So we'll see. Clean up the desk a little bit. Get rid of that. I'm gonna mute Minecraft. There we go. Alrighty. Starting now. Maybe screwdriver. Start my iron. Okay, so today we're going to be installing a super storage into an SNES Classic, the US version. This was sent to me by a customer for an install, and he also included a 32 gigabyte SD card. We'll see if this works. Some of these haven't been working lately due to an issue with the R16 processor in the Super Nintendo, but we're going to try anyway. So first things first, we're going to take this and flip it over and just take off these pads, put them off to the side. I'm timing myself this time. Hopefully I can get this all done under a half hour. I probably can. I'm going to try for 20 minutes. But you just take off the pads. There's 4 screws in each of these holes. And then we can flip it over, and you want to be careful when you take this lid off because you want to flip it off to the side like that. There's a ribbon cable connecting the power switches, and you can just go ahead and pull that out, and then you can set the top aside. So now we want to get down to the bare circuit board, which we can do just by taking off. We're going to do these controller ports first before we unscrew it. just wiggle them out and they'll come out. And then we can undo for the 5 screws. Okay, and then we can take the board out with the heat shield and set the bottom aside. Now to get this heat shield off, it's pretty simple. There is a thermal pad, which I don't know if you'll be able to see. It's right in there. You just go ahead and kind of twist this off, and then it pulls right off. So here is the main circuit board. We have the R16 CPU and GPU. We have the NAND chip for the storage. I think it's like 512 megs. And then we have the RAM chip. And that's basically it. The points that we're concerned with are these right here. There's a group of 8 here that we're concerned with. Basically, these go to the SD and eMMC lines on the main processor. So we're just going to be soldering to those. If you ordered the super storage, you'll get it in a packet like this. I apologize for my camera's kind of overexposure, but it should work. So you'll get in a packet like this. We're going to take this out. So it comes in 3 pieces. You have the board adapter, which actually is the part that we're going to be soldering. You have the SD card port, and then you have the ribbon cable that goes between the two. So what we want to do is, I'm just going to take my PCB vise, which looks like this, and I'm going to mount this circuit board in here. It just makes it a bit easier to do a job like this. So here we have our pins. Just that a little bit. There we go. So here we've got the circuit board with the pins that we're concerned with. And you can see that we take the board adapter, and if I don't drop it, it fits on there just like that. So usually what I like to do is I like to take a little piece of tape. I like to use Kapton tape if I can find it. Oh, it's right next to me. And I'm just going to cut off a strip and show you how I attach it and then how I actually do the soldering. Okay, so usually what I do is I just kind of suspend it in with a piece of tape like this over the points till I line them up. This is going to be a little hard from this angle. That looks just about good. So I'm just going to tape it down like this. And then I'm going to take my soldering iron and I'm going to take some flux. This is Amtech NC 559. This is great stuff. And I'm just going to put some in there. Like that. So we're going to do these first 6 points and then we'll take off the tape and do the last 2. So I'm just going to take my solder and I'm going to do a couple of these points. Okay, I'm just going to inspect it. Most of those look pretty good. I'm just going to add a bit more solder. What you'll notice is when you install it and it's installed properly, you'll notice that the solder tries to go from the pad of the motherboard to the top of the super storage adapter. That is definitely what you want to see. If it's not doing that, make sure that you're using enough flux. Make sure you're using the right type of solder. Don't use lead-free solder. It sucks. So we're just going to take this piece of tape off and then throw that away. And then we're just going to add a little bit more flux right there. And then do the last 2 points. This last point, the ground point, as indicated by GND, is usually the hardest. And it's because of the thermals and how this board was designed. Basically, this pad is not just this pad, it's all of your light green that you see here, and makes it really easy to absorb a lot of heat, which makes it harder to solder. So if you're having trouble with that, that's why. So I'm just going to take some Q-tips and some isopropyl alcohol and clean this up. Maybe I don't. Just to clean off the flux. Even if you buy no clean flux, you'll still have to clean it up if you want it to look good and not sticky. Usually what I'll do is I'll hit it with a Q-tip and then I'll hit it with microfiber cloth. Like so. So that's all the soldering that we have to do. That's basically the hardest part of this thing, other than, you know, just knowing how to take it apart. So now that we've got this soldered, we can take the bottom piece here. Actually, what we're going to want to do first is we're going to want to insert this ribbon cable so we can access it from the top. So to do that, just pull out this little tab here. It's a locking mechanism to make sure that it won't pull out if you pull it too hard. Alright, just insert it there. And then close the locking mechanism. And then put the board in like so. Take your heat shield and put it in like that. Now we can screw this down. Oops. And then the last one is right here, just above the HDMI and USB port. Okay, now we can just put these controller ports back in. I usually like to curl this one around this ribbon cable. And then we can take our micro SD card slot, undo the locking mechanism, insert like so, and then lock. What I like to do in this case is I like to take some hot glue to hold this board in place. just enough where it's floating. It doesn't have to be smushed in. Just hold it there for a couple seconds, and then that should be good. Okay, now we can take our micro SD card, open up the package. And these are always a pain, so I usually use a little razor blade. Like I said, these are always a pain. Unfortunately, these packages are made to be cheap and easily disposable. So then we can just take the card and put it in the slot like that. Clean up a little bit of the hot glue. And then we can just put it on the top case, and that should be it pretty much for this install. Actually, it's going to make it a little bit easier if we don't plug in the card yet, because you still have to get this power switch ribbon cable in. This can be easier if you do it with the heat shield, but I usually do it as a last step just in case I yank it or something like that, because the connectors that they put on the board are not very strong and I have ripped them off before. If you know how to solder, it's pretty easy to put them back on, assuming you didn't lift up any traces, but it's just best to avoid it altogether. So now we can flip it over and put the last 4 screws back in. And that's it. So yeah, that was a super storage install. It's pretty easy to do, assuming you have the right tools. If you have any problems, let me know, either through Discord or Reddit, or there's a contact thing on our site, echo10.io, and that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and have a good day. Okay, yeah, so that's it. That was actually really quick. It was 15 minutes, so pretty happy with that. I actually might replace that with the other video that I have, because I think that one's at like 20 minutes or something like that. So that's all I'm gonna stream today, because that's all I have to do today. Yeah, see ya.